Hey, good morning, everybody. Hope you're all doing well this Sunday morning here. I want to just take a couple of minutes here to kind of share a couple of things with you and talk a little bit about what just happened and what is going to happen in the next week. And basically, it's been on the news a lot. It's been talked a lot about if you pay, in the world of education, especially here in the state of Texas. And it's essentially that in the next week, Governor Abbott will be signing a bill that is going to authorize education savings accounts, essentially taxpayer funds in order for parents and children who want to send their children to private schools. So that is basically what has been that is a big item that's been talked about and debated in the Texas state legislature and in communities across the state for quite a few years now. And for the last few sessions, it hasn't passed in previous sessions, but it just got through passing recently, got enough votes in the House and Senate, and it will now be signed by the governor very soon. So that's what's happened, and that is what is happening moving forward. Okay. I want to talk about the human side of this issue because I know that when it comes to education, it can be kind of somewhat contentious issue just because it does mean a lot, and understandably so. It means a lot. The education of children means a lot to parents and several people's society in general. Like so many issues that Americans care about, the education of their children is one of them. The type of schools that parents send their children to is something that most parents definitely care about. And at the degree of investment and focus that parents pay to their educational environment, that varies based on different factors. But most parents simply want the same thing, which is a good, safe school for their kids where they can learn new things, make good friends, and develop skills for tomorrow. That said, this bill that just passed, the House and the Senate bill, which just got through passing, is intended to provide an alternative to the public school system for parents who look to do so. Now, before I talk about parts of the bill that just passed and how it's going to, and the intent of application moving forward, I want to share a little bit about my personal journey as a two things, as a lifelong learner and as a parent of two students, K through 12 students. I have a daughter who's a junior in high school, and I got a sixth grader. And when it comes to education, so I'm a public school product. I was born in Odessa, Texas, and I went to public school in Odessa before we moved to San Antonio when I was a teenager in 1993. And after attending elementary and junior high schools in Odessa, then when I came to San Antonio, I went to a couple of different high schools before I finished high school and then started my naval career. I went to San Antonio College for 1 year and then enlisted in the Navy. Now, my personal education is, I think, my real education was basically in austere environments in my naval career in Iraq and Afghanistan, on the deck plates of an aircraft carrier. The speed and intensity of the dramatic changes within a 21-year career, that's been my education. And in the process, I also earned an undergrad, a bachelor's in science and healthcare management from Southern Illinois University, and I just earned a master's in public policy from Liberty University. So I also did that as well, along with other education and training in my Navy career. Now, my daughters, I have two girls, 16 and 12-year-old girl. They spending a lot of time overseas because I was overseas a lot. 3 years in Florida, 3 years in Japan, 3 years in Spain, 14 months in the UK, and then finally finishing my tour here in San Antonio. My oldest went to DOD schools, Department of Defense schools overseas. And then when we finally came back to the States, she attended public schools for a little while within Northside Independent School District until she transitioned over into a private Christian school where she is attending now. So I'm connected to the public school system, and I'm also connected to the private school system private schools because that's where my daughters currently attend, and their current school has been a blessing to them. But I also know the public school system. My wife worked for NISD for 5.5 years at Colonies North Elementary School here in the city. So we really pay a lot of attention. My family pays a lot of attention to the human component of things. There's obviously the politics and mechanics and the structures, that are the bureaucratic structures of things, but there's also the human relationships of how one navigates the cards that you're dealt in different situations. There are good people in every educational environment, whether it's private, public, charter, or homeschools. And there's also people that, are not the most effective in probably every educational environment. Private schools a lot of times have people that may not necessarily be exemplifying the values that are espoused by that school. A lot of people are. Again, my daughters are blessed to be in a great environment that's really blessed them. But there's also very good, motivated people in the public school system as well. So I just wanted to share that with you just to give you kind of some context, because I am connected to this issue at a very personal level. I've seen the journey that my daughters have gone through with a lot of different schools and now where they're at right now. And I pay a lot of attention to the issue at various levels, from the political, legislative level to a personal level in terms of how it affects families, because we're one of them. Now, the bill is basically going to be, is going to authorize a bill, talking about the bill, all right? The bill is going to authorize $1 billion to be spent for the first couple of years, and the intent is to facilitate dollars from the state's budget to provide vouchers or education savings accounts. So, simply defined, if you can read all the specifics as they play out, because there's a lot when it comes to this issue and how it's going to play out. But the bottom line is that parents who want to send their children to a private school, right, but who cannot afford it, will very soon be able to look into this program, which will provide them the funds to send their kids to a private school if they so choose. Simply stated, right? Now, other states like Arizona, Florida, North Carolina have their own versions of school choice programs. The purpose of my point is not to argue the parameters and semantics of the bill. Opponents of the bill have various reasons to oppose it, which I can understand. Don't agree with it, but I do understand it. They're probably just looking out for the well-being of their public schools, their staff, and their students, especially those that live in rural communities where the actual school district is a major employer of the city and where brick and mortar alternatives may be limited. I had the privilege of driving a lot throughout the state of Texas to places like Odessa, the Gulf Coast, I-35 up Austin, and I-10 to Houston. And I am always fascinated and very curious about these small towns. Whenever you drive through the state, there's a lot of small towns scattered throughout the state, and I wonder about the education in a lot of these kind of rural communities. That said, the arguments have been made in full on both sides. It's been argued, debated for several years now here in Texas. Cases have been made, but the bill has now passed. Moving forward, the bill has passed in both the House and Senate, and it's now going to be signed into law by the governor very, very soon. Now, I know that there are people that feel concerned about, I want to kind of go back to the human component here. I really want to focus on the human component. People feel concerned about what their kids' future looks like, regardless of what type of school, whether it's private, public, charter, or homeschool. But I hope to encourage every parent out there. This is what I want to really emphasize here. I want to say three things. If you're a parent and you love your kid and you're backing them up and doing the very best you can, your kid has one of the best things going for them, which is a loving, supporting parent. Don't underestimate that. That's powerful. Okay. But secondly, and even more important than this, God wants the best for you and your kids. Pray. Pray before you send them to school. Pray specific prayers for protection, prayers for good things to come upon them, for good friends, for good mentors and role models to help them on their journey. Prayer is the most powerful thing in the universe. So just do that, no matter what educational environment. There are a lot of parents that send their kids to schools they're not excited about, but they send them anyways because that is the most immediate option, and they have other plans for the future. Whatever the case, every single day when your kid walks out the front door of your house, pray for them that God would maximize opportunities and good things for them. And finally, the last thing is thank teachers. Tell teachers thank you. I don't know why people seem to not talk a lot about this, or it's not talked a lot about, but as a retired Navy guy, as a military guy for 21 years in a former life, people always said, the 9/11, I enlisted 3 months before 9/11, and during the 9/11 generation, even after I retired, people always say thank you for your service, which is a nice thing to hear. It's a nice thing for people to say that. But I would imagine that teaching is a tough job, and people should also tell that to teachers. I don't know if it's just say thank you to teachers, because they definitely get a lot of criticism and scrutiny and pressure from different places. I don't see how thanking them can not help them. Even if you got good ones and you tell them thank you and encourage them, it's going to probably make them even better. And if there's some that aren't very good, just trying to encourage them and tell them good things definitely can't hurt. In my experience, having seen a lot of the world and a lot of things in this world, promise you that encouragement goes a long way. So yeah, if you have a chance to say something nice to somebody, just say it, especially if it's true. Just say it, because you may not get a chance tomorrow. Okay. So I wanted to talk about some of those things here and share some of this information for you. I know a lot's going to be coming out in the next few days and weeks and months and years to come on this issue here, but just wanted to share these thoughts with you today. All right. I hope you have a great Sunday and a great rest of your week. All right. Thank you. God bless. Bye.